The red dust of Mars swirled against the reinforced windows of the Quantum Research Institute, but Dr. Sarah Way barely noticed. Her attention was fixed on the holographic display hovering above her workstation, where quantum particles danced in patterns that would have seemed impossible just a few years ago. The experiment had worked. After 15 years of research, countless failures, and 3 complete rebuilds of the quantum manipulation matrix, she had done it. She took a deep breath, steadying herself against the edge of her desk. The implications of what she was seeing were almost too vast to comprehend. This wasn't just a breakthrough in quantum physics. It was humanity's key to true interstellar travel. Dr. Way. The soft chime of the lab's AI interrupted her thoughts. Director Chen is requesting your presence in the secure conference room. Sarah nodded, quickly encrypting her latest results. Tell her I'm on my way. The walk to the conference room took her through the heart of the facility, past laboratories where hundreds of Earth's brightest minds worked on what the Galactic Confederation believed was primitive fusion research. The deception had been maintained for decades, letting the galaxy's dominant power believe that humanity was struggling with basic space travel while they pursued a completely different path to the stars. Director Chen was waiting for her, along with Admiral James Torres of the Earth Defense Force. The Admiral's dark eyes fixed on Sarah as she entered, his expression unreadable. Dr. Way. Chen gestured to a seat. Show us. Sarah transferred her data to the room's secure holographic system. The quantum field visualization sprang to life in the center of the room, a complex dance of particles that seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. We've achieved stable quantum field manipulation, Sarah explained, highlighting specific patterns in the display. The field can be generated around an object of any size, from a single atom to a spacecraft. Once established, we can instantly transfer the object to any point in space without traversing the distance between. Admiral Torres leaned forward. You're certain? We've run over 10,000 tests. The quantum tunnel is stable, predictable, and completely undetectable by conventional sensors. Sarah pulled up another display showing the test results. The Confederation's FTL drives work by warping spacetime. This is different. We're not moving through space at all. We're simply existing in one point, then existing in another. Director Chen's weathered face showed the first hint of a smile. And the energy requirements. That's the beautiful part. Sarah highlighted a section of the data. Once we understood the underlying quantum principles, we discovered that it actually requires less energy than conventional propulsion. The universe. She paused, searching for the right words. The universe does most of the work for us. We just have to ask nicely. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Galactic Confederation had maintained its power for millennia through its monopoly on faster-than-light travel technology. Their massive ships, powered by artificial singularities, were the only way to traverse the vast distances between stars, or at least that's what they wanted everyone to believe. How soon can we begin installing the drives in ships? Admiral Torres asked. Sarah shared a glance with Director Chen before responding. We already have. The prototype drive was installed in the test vessel Prometheus 3 months ago. We've been running simulated jumps in the asteroid belt. The Admiral's eyebrows rose slightly, the only indication of his surprise. Without authorization. With my authorization. Director Chen interjected. We needed to be certain it would work at scale before bringing this to the Defense Council. The Prometheus has successfully completed over 500 quantum jumps, including 3 to the Kuiper Belt and back. Admiral Torres nodded slowly. The Confederation's annual inspection of Earth's space capabilities is in 2 months. Their sensors will detect exactly what we want them to detect, Sarah assured him. We've developed quantum camouflage fields that make our technology appear primitive by their standards. As far as their scans will show, we're still struggling with basic fusion drives and chemical rockets. The Admiral stood, walking to the window that overlooked the vast Martian research complex. Beyond the facility's boundaries, The red planet's surface was dotted with what appeared to be primitive mining operations and basic habitation domes. In reality, many of them concealed vast underground facilities where humanity's quantum fleet was taking shape. "How many ships can we outfit with the drive in the next 6 months?" he asked. "With the current production facilities, at least 50, Director Chen replied. "We've been preparing for this moment for years. The shipyards beneath Olympus Mons and in the asteroid belt are ready to begin mass production as soon as we receive authorization." Sarah pulled up another hologram, showing the design of humanity's first true interstellar warship. To outside observers, it would look like a clumsy attempt at copying Confederation technology. But beneath its deliberately primitive exterior lay systems that would revolutionize warfare itself. "The quantum drive isn't just for propulsion," she explained. "We've developed weapons systems that utilize the same principles. Quantum-locked particle beams that ignore shields entirely, temporal distortion fields that can slow incoming fire to a crawl, and defense systems that can quite literally move portions of the ship out of harm's way microseconds before impact." Admiral Torres turned back to face them, his expression grave. "The Confederation won't just accept this. When they realize what we've developed, they'll have no choice but to accept it." Director Chen interrupted. "By the time they realize what we've done, our ships will already be deployed throughout human space. We're not seeking war, Admiral, but we will no longer accept their technological apartheid." Sarah watched the exchange silently, her mind already racing ahead to the next phase of development. The quantum drive was just the beginning. Her team had barely scratched the surface of what was possible when you understood the true nature of space, time, and probability. "There's something else you should see," she said, entering a complex series of commands into the holographic interface. A new simulation appeared, a theoretical application of quantum field manipulation that even her team found difficult to believe. "We think we can create stable quantum networks, instantaneous communication across any distance, not just for data transmission, but for energy transfer as well. Imagine a network of quantum nodes throughout human space, able to share power, information, and even matter instantly." The implications were staggering. Such a network would make humanity's territory virtually impossible to invade or blockade. Resources could be shifted instantly to where they were needed most. Every human ship and colony would be connected in ways the Confederation couldn't begin to comprehend. Admiral Torres studied the simulation for a long moment before speaking. "How long have you been working on this, Dr. Wei?" "My whole life," she replied simply. "Ever since I first learned about the Confederation's technology restrictions. They thought they could keep us confined to our solar system, developing along the path they prescribed. Instead, they forced us to think differently, to explore possibilities they had never considered." Director Chen stood, her decision made. "I'm calling an emergency session of the Defense Council. Admiral, I trust you'll support this." Torres nodded. "The Council will want proof. Demonstrations. They'll have them," Sarah assured him. "The Prometheus is ready for a full demonstration jump at any time. We can show them exactly what humanity is capable of." As the Admiral and Director left to make their preparations, Sarah remained in the conference room, watching the quantum field simulations dance in the air before her. Soon, humanity would take its place among the stars, not as supplicants begging for scraps of technology from the Confederation, but as pioneers of a new age of space travel. The Martian dust storm intensified outside, obscuring the view of the research complex. Somewhere out there, hidden beneath the red sands, humanity's future was taking shape, and when the time came to reveal it to the galaxy, nothing would ever be the same. High Lord Krithax of the Galactic Confederation stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion, as it emerged from hyperspace near Earth's moon. His crystalline form caught the distant sunlight, refracting it in patterns that displayed his mild annoyance at having to personally conduct this inspection. Earth was barely worth the attention of a junior administrator, let alone someone of his rank. Preliminary scans complete, High Lord, his sensor officer reported. No significant technological advancement detected since our last inspection. Their space traffic remains limited to chemical propulsion and primitive fusion drives. Krithax's crystalline appendages shifted in what his species considered a dismissive gesture. As expected, these humans are persistent, I'll grant them that. 3 centuries of space exploration, and they're still puttering around their own system, with technology barely more advanced than their first rockets. The massive Confederation vessel moved through Earth's space, its sensors documenting everything from power signatures to communication patterns. None of the crew paid any attention to the seemingly innocent asteroid mining operations they passed, or the unremarkable cargo ships moving between Earth and its colonies. In one such cargo ship, Captain Maya Rodriguez watched the Confederation flagship pass by, maintaining a perfectly calm exterior despite the revolutionary quantum drive humming silently at her ship's core. The freighter's exterior was a masterpiece of deception, its hull deliberately aged and patched to look like it had barely survived 2 decades of solar system hauling. Confederation sensors are scanning us, her tactical officer reported quietly. Quantum camouflage is holding steady. They're seeing exactly what they expect to see. Maya allowed herself a small smile. Maintain course and speed. We're just another rust bucket hauling ore from the belt, not worth a second glance. The Eternal Dominion continued its inspection, its crew cataloging what they believed to be the full extent of human space capability. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Admiral Torres and Director Chen watched the inspection through quantum-linked sensors that the Confederation couldn't detect. They're following the exact patrol pattern we predicted, Chen observed. Their arrogance makes them predictable. Torres nodded, his attention focused on the holographic display showing the positions of hundreds of hidden human vessels throughout the solar system. Each one was equipped with a quantum drive, each capable of appearing anywhere in the galaxy in an instant. The fleet represented the largest military secret in human history. Dr. Wei's latest report just came in, Chen continued. The quantum network is expanding faster than projected. We'll have full coverage of human space within 2 months. Before their next major inspection, Torres noted, have there been any incidents, any close calls? Chen shook her head. Our people understand the stakes. Every quantum signature is carefully masked. Every power fluctuation is disguised beneath layers of interference that their sensors interpret as natural phenomena. In his private quarters aboard the Eternal Dominion, Krithax reviewed the inspection data with growing frustration. Something about the humans bothered him, though he couldn't quite identify what. Their technology was primitive, their space presence minimal, yet they had declined Confederation membership 3 times in the past century. Display historical power consumption data for all human settlements, he commanded. The ship's AI complied, projecting graphs showing energy usage across Earth's colonies. There were anomalies, subtle variations that didn't quite match expected patterns, but nothing concrete enough to justify deeper investigation. High Lord, his communication officer's voice interrupted his thoughts. We're receiving a request for your presence at the humans' orbital diplomatic station. They wish to conduct the formal inspection review. Krithax's crystalline form flickered with barely contained disdain. Another tedious diplomatic ceremony with beings who barely understood the concept of interstellar civilization. Very well. Prepare my shuttle. The diplomatic station was a testament to humanity's seemingly limited capabilities. Its rotating sections provided artificial gravity, a crude solution that no Confederation species had used in millennia. The air had the slightly stale quality common to human life support systems, and the lighting was harsh and artificial. Dr. Sarah Wei watched Krithax's arrival from a discreet observation room, analyzing how the Confederation's sensors interacted with their quantum camouflage technology. The alien's crystalline form moved with fluid grace despite the station's rotation, his escort of lesser Confederation officials trailing behind him. Quantum field is holding stable, she murmured into her secure communicator. Their active scans aren't detecting anything beyond our public technology level. The diplomatic reception was a masterpiece of carefully calculated mediocrity. Earth's representatives presented themselves with just enough polish to appear to be trying hard to impress their galactic visitors, while ensuring everything from their technology to their formal wear remained clearly inferior to Confederation standards. Ambassador Chen Lai, Director Chen's sister and a master of diplomatic deception, greeted Krithax with carefully measured deference. "High Lord, we are honored by your presence. We hope this inspection has found Earth's space development programs progressing adequately." Krithax's crystalline form shifted through colors that indicated polite condescension. "Your progress remains consistent with our expectations, Ambassador. Though I must inquire about the increased power consumption we've detected in your Mars colonies." "Ah, yes," Ambassador Chen smiled apologetically. "Our latest attempts at fusion power generation have been less efficient than hoped. We're still struggling to maintain stable containment fields. Perhaps if the Confederation would consider sharing some of its basic energy technology." "The Confederation's technology sharing protocols are quite clear," Krithax interrupted. "Member species receive access to approved technologies at appropriate developmental stages. Earth has chosen to remain independent, and thus must develop such technologies on its own." In the observation room, Sarah fought back a smile. The quantum drive in her lab could generate more power in an hour than Krithax's entire flagship produced in a day, and it did so without any of the wasteful radiation that characterized Confederation technology. The diplomatic dance continued, each side playing their role to perfection. The humans presented themselves as eager but limited, while Krithax maintained the Confederation's position of benevolent superiority. Neither side revealed what they were truly thinking. The humans about their quantum breakthrough, Krithax about his growing unease with humanity's continued independence. As the Eternal Dominion prepared to depart the solar system, Krithax recorded his final inspection notes. "Human space development remains primitive but persistent. Recommend maintaining current observation protocols. Note: consider investigating apparent discrepancies in power consumption patterns during next scheduled inspection." The massive ship engaged its hyperdrives, disappearing into faster-than-light travel in a flash of distorted spacetime. None of its crew noticed the quantum fluctuations that rippled through their wake, the signature of human ships testing their superior drives under the cover of the Confederation's departure. In her lab on Mars, Sarah watched the quantum sensor readings with satisfaction. Every test had confirmed their technology's superiority. Every simulation showed the same result. Humanity wasn't just catching up to Confederation technology, they had leapfrogged it entirely. "They never even suspected," she said softly, watching the last quantum ripples fade. "They were so convinced of their superiority that they didn't even consider we might find a different path to the stars." The quantum network hummed silently around her, connecting every human settlement and ship in an invisible web of instant communication and transportation. Soon, very soon, the galaxy would learn just how far humanity had come, and the Confederation's age of unchallenged dominance would come to an end. Junior analyst Zara Vex moved through the crystalline corridors of the Confederation's Central Intelligence Archive, her form shifting between shades of deep blue that reflected her growing concern. For the past 3 cycles, she had been studying data from the Sol system, and something wasn't adding up. Energy consumption patterns from their Mars colony show a 12% increase, she explained to her superior, Arch-Analyst Krenthor. Yet their registered spacecraft numbers and industrial output remain constant. Krenthor's crystalline form rippled with dismissive patterns. "Humans are inefficient by nature. Their waste of energy is well documented." "But sir," Zara Vex persisted, bringing up a holographic display of Sol's asteroid belt. "Their mining operations show no expansion. Their space traffic follows predictable patterns, yet power usage across their system has steadily increased for the past 5 years." "Your concern for primitive anomalies is noted," Krenthor responded. "But the High Council has more pressing matters. The situation in the Orion Arm requires our attention." Meanwhile, beneath the surface of Mars, Admiral Maya Rodriguez stood in the central command chamber of humanity's first quantum fleet. Holographic displays showed the positions of over 200 vessels, each equipped with technology that would shock the Confederation to its core. "Fleet status report," she commanded. Captain Sarah Chen, Director Chen's daughter, stepped forward. "All ships report quantum drives at full operational status. Combat systems are green across the board. The Prometheus battle group has completed its final shakedown cruise in the Kuiper Belt." Rodriguez nodded, studying the tactical display. The ships were scattered throughout the solar system, hidden in asteroid bases, beneath planetary surfaces, and in plain sight disguised as ordinary freighters and mining vessels. Each one represented a revolution in military technology. "Dr. Wei's latest innovations?" she asked. "Implemented across the fleet," Sarah confirmed. "Quantum-linked targeting systems allow our ships to coordinate attacks instantaneously. Temporal defense grids can predict incoming fire before it's even launched. And the new quantum torpedoes." She paused, bringing up the test footage. "Well, see for yourself." The hologram showed a test firing against an asteroid. The quantum torpedo didn't so much destroy its target as remove it from existence, creating a perfect sphere of empty space where the massive rock had been. "The torpedo creates a localized quantum field that shifts its target into a parallel probability state," Sarah explained. "Essentially, it makes the target never have existed in our reality." In high orbit above Europa, Dr. Wei supervised the installation of the latest quantum network node. The seemingly innocent communications satellite contained technology that would revolutionize galactic warfare. Once activated, it would join hundreds of others in a web of instant communication and power transfer that spanned human space. "Final calibration complete," her assistant reported. "The node is online and fully cloaked. Confederation sensors will register it as standard comm traffic." Sarah checked the quantum field readings herself. The node's energy signature was perfectly masked, hidden beneath layers of artificial interference that the Confederation's sensors would interpret as normal background radiation. "Begin integration with the primary network," she ordered, "and notify Admiral Rodriguez that we're ready for the final phase of testing." Back in the Confederation's central archive, Zara Vex couldn't shake her unease about the human situation. She had compiled her findings into a formal report, knowing it would likely be ignored by her superiors. The humans were considered too primitive to warrant serious attention. "Display latest surveillance footage from Sol," she commanded her workstation. The holographic display showed various human vessels going about their seemingly mundane business. Cargo ships moving between colonies, mining operations in the asteroid belt, maintenance vessels servicing satellites. Something caught her eye, a pattern in the movements that seemed almost too perfect. She enhanced the display, focusing on a particular group of ships near Mars. Their trajectories formed complex geometric patterns that, while appearing random at first glance, suggested a level of coordination that shouldn't have been possible with human technology. "Computer, analyze traffic patterns for the past solar year," she ordered. "Compare with expected behavioral models for a civilization at their technological level." The results made her crystalline form pulse with alarm. The patterns were too precise, too coordinated. Either humans had developed far more sophisticated traffic control systems than they admitted to, or her thoughts were interrupted by a priority alert. A Confederation battle fleet had been dispatched to the Orion Arm to deal with a group of species that had been attempting to develop their own FTL technology in violation of Confederation law. In the Mars Command Center, Admiral Rodriguez received the same information through quantum-intercepted communications. The Confederation was about to make an example of several young species whose only crime was trying to break free from technological dependence. "How long until the Confederation fleet reaches the Orion Arm?" she asked. 36 hours at their maximum FTL speed," Sarah replied. "Our quantum drives could have us there in seconds." Rodriguez studied the tactical display, her expression grave. The Confederation fleet consisted of 30 capital ships, including 2 dreadnoughts, It was intended to be an overwhelming show of force, designed to remind the galaxy of the consequences of defying Confederation technology restrictions. "Signal all ships," she ordered. "Begin final combat preparations. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity has been working on." Throughout the solar system, hidden vessels began powering up their quantum drives. In bases beneath Mars and Europa, weapon systems came online. The quantum network hummed with increased activity as final coordinates were distributed to the fleet. Dr. Wei watched the preparations from her lab, monitoring the quantum field readings as hundreds of ships prepared to jump simultaneously. The technology she had helped develop was about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. "All ships report ready," Sarah announced. "Quantum network is stable. We can commence operations on your order, Admiral." Rodriguez took a deep breath, knowing that what she was about to do would reveal humanity's true capabilities to the galaxy. There would be no going back, no more hiding behind a facade of primitive technology. "Send word to Earth Defense Command," she ordered. "Request final authorization to proceed with Operation Quantum Dawn." The message was transmitted instantly through the quantum network. The response came just as quickly, a simple "authorized" that would change the course of human history. "All ships," Rodriguez commanded, her voice firm. "Prepare for quantum jump. We're about to show the Confederation that humanity is done playing by their rules." The Confederation battle fleet dropped out of FTL in a perfectly choreographed display of power. 30 massive warships appearing simultaneously above the rebellious worlds of the Orion Arm. High Commander Vrax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Justice, his crystalline form glowing with anticipation of the coming demonstration of Confederation authority. "Deploy in standard intimidation formation," he ordered. "Begin charging main weapons. Let these primitives see the price of defying Confederation law." The fleet's massive ships moved into position, their weapon ports glowing with contained energy. On the planets below, the young species who had dared to develop their own FTL technology watched in terror as the massive fleet prepared to reduce their research facilities to ash. "My lord," his sensor officer called out, "we're detecting unusual energy readings, signatures we've never seen before." Before Vrax could respond, space itself seemed to hiccup. Where there had been empty void moments before, hundreds of ships suddenly existed. They simply appeared, without the characteristic flash of FTL emergence or the distortion of hyperspace travel. "Impossible," Vrax whispered, his crystalline form clouding with confusion. The ships were clearly of human design, but they had appeared instantaneously, at distances that should have taken years to traverse. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus, humanity's flagship, at the center of the quantum fleet. "Open a channel to the Confederation flagship," she ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." The communication went through instantly, carried by the quantum network rather than conventional signals. On the Eternal Justice's bridge, Vrax found himself face to face with a human admiral. "This is Admiral Maya Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force," she announced, her voice calm but firm. "Your fleet will stand down immediately. The species of the Orion Arm are under our protection." Vrax's form pulsed with rage and disbelief. "You dare? You primitive?" He turned to his weapons officer. "Open fire. Show these upstart humans the consequence of their arrogance." The Confederation fleet's weapons discharged simultaneously, filling space with enough energy to vaporize a small moon. But where the human ships had been, there was suddenly nothing. The entire fleet had vanished, only to reappear moments later in completely different positions. "That was your only warning," Rodriguez's voice came again. "The next demonstration won't be just for show." In the Prometheus's tactical center, Sarah Chen watched the quantum field displays with satisfaction. The fleet's synchronized quantum jumps had worked perfectly, showcasing humanity's complete mastery of space and time. "Multiple targets launching missiles," the tactical officer reported. "Conventional FTL warheads closing fast. Deploy temporal defense grid," Sarah ordered. The space around the human fleet shimmered as quantum fields manipulated the flow of time itself. The incoming missiles seemed to slow to a crawl, giving point defense systems ample time to pick them apart. On the Eternal Justice, Vrax watched in horror as his fleet's most powerful weapons were casually swatted aside. "What is this?" he demanded. "How are they doing this?" "Sir," his sensor officer called out in alarm. "Human vessels appearing inside our formation." The quantum fleet had divided, individual ships blinking in and out of existence throughout the Confederation battle line. Each appearance was precisely calculated, the human vessels materializing in positions that completely disrupted the enemy formation. "Target their weapons and propulsion only," Rodriguez commanded. "Show them what quantum torpedoes can do." The human fleet fired as one, their weapons traveling through quantum tunnels that ignored conventional space. On the Confederation ships, weapon systems and engines simply ceased to exist, erased from reality by fields that rewrote local probability. Dr. Y watched the battle through quantum sensors from her lab on Mars, monitoring the performance of her technologies. The quantum drives were working perfectly, allowing human ships to jump instantly to any position. The temporal defense grids were maintaining stable fields, and the quantum weapons were performing beyond expectations. In the Central Intelligence Archive, Zaravex watched the incoming data with a mixture of awe and vindication. The humans hadn't been primitive at all. They had developed technology that made the Confederation's most advanced systems look crude by comparison. The battle, if it could even be called that, lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, the mighty Confederation fleet hung powerless in space, their weapons and engines erased by quantum torpedoes, their formations thoroughly disrupted by ships that could appear anywhere at will. "This is your final warning," Rodriguez addressed the Confederation commander. "The age of your technological monopoly is over. Humanity is offering its quantum drive technology to any species that wishes to develop independently of Confederation control." On the planets below, the young species watched in amazement as their would-be destroyers were thoroughly humbled by humans, the same humans the Confederation had dismissed as primitive for centuries. "You can't do this," Vrax protested, his crystalline form clouded with fear and confusion. "The Confederation has maintained order for millennia, without our control of FTL technology." "Your control is finished," Rodriguez interrupted. "We've already established quantum networks with 15 independent worlds. By the end of this solar day, the plans for quantum drive construction will be available to any species that wants them." Sarah Chen brought up a tactical display showing quantum communications spreading across the galaxy. Already, ships were appearing in other systems, delivering the plans and technology that would free them from Confederation dependence. "You've hidden this technology," Vrax accused. "Deceived us for years." "We did," Rodriguez acknowledged, "because we knew you would try to stop us, to maintain your power through technological restriction. But that ends today. The galaxy is about to change, High Commander. You can either change with it or be left behind." Throughout human space, quantum networks hummed with activity as centuries of careful preparation finally bore fruit. The greatest deception in human history had worked perfectly, allowing them to develop and deploy technology that would reshape the galaxy. Dr. Wei smiled as she watched the quantum field readings. Humanity had done more than catch up to the Confederation. They had revolutionized space travel itself. And now, that revolution would spread across the galaxy, one quantum jump at a time. 1 month after the Battle of the Orion Arm, the galaxy was transforming more rapidly than anyone could have predicted. Dr. Sarah Wei stood before the newly formed Galactic Council of Independent Nations, her holographic image projected simultaneously to representatives of over 300 species. The old Confederation chamber had been redesigned, its crystalline architecture now augmented with quantum technology that allowed instantaneous participation from worlds across the galaxy. Where once only the most powerful species had held seats, now every civilization had an equal voice. "The quantum network continues to expand," she reported, bringing up a holographic map showing the spread of the technology. Over 200 worlds have successfully implemented their own quantum drives. The sharing of knowledge has led to innovations we hadn't even considered. The Ardanian delegate, a being of pure energy contained within a specialized field, spoke up. Our scientists have already adapted the quantum principles to enhance our natural phase-shifting abilities. The possibilities are extraordinary. From his position in the chamber, High Lord Crifax watched silently. The Confederation hadn't been dissolved. That would have created too much chaos. But its power had been fundamentally transformed. No longer did they control the flow of technology and information. Instead, they were learning to adapt to a galaxy where innovation and cooperation had replaced restriction and control. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Rodriguez supervised the installation of the latest quantum network hub. The massive station would serve as a focal point for instant transportation and communication across thousands of light years. Another group of ships just arrived from the Carina Arm, her aide reported. Scientists and engineers from 12 different species, all eager to contribute to the network's expansion. Rodriguez nodded, watching as vessels of various designs quantum jumped in and out of Earth orbit. Some were elegant crystalline structures, others were organic ships that seemed to swim through space, and still others defied conventional description. All of them were now equipped with quantum drives, each civilization adding their own unique innovations to the basic technology humanity had shared. "How's the cultural exchange program progressing?" she asked. "Beyond expectations," Sarah Chen replied, bringing up a report. "The quantum network isn't just transforming space travel. It's allowing instant communication and collaboration between species that never would have met under the old system. The rate of technological and cultural advancement is unprecedented." Back on Mars, Dr. Wei worked with a diverse team of scientists from across the galaxy. The quantum research facility had expanded dramatically, now serving as a hub for collaborative development of new applications for the technology. The Mirians have made an interesting discovery, a crystalline scientist who had once served the Confederation announced. They've found a way to use quantum fields to stabilize their sun, potentially extending its life by billions of years. We smiled, reviewing the data. And the Zorans have adapted the technology to purify entire oceans in days rather than centuries. This is what should have been happening all along, species working together, sharing knowledge, solving problems collectively. In the Central Intelligence Archive, now transformed into the Galactic Knowledge Exchange, Zara Vex coordinated the flow of information across the quantum network. Her earlier suspicions about human technology had earned her a position of respect in the new order. "Another breakthrough from the hydrogen-based life forms in the Carina Arm," she reported excitedly. "They've developed a way to use quantum fields to safely extract energy directly from black holes. The power generation potential is enormous." The revolution hadn't been entirely smooth. Some former Confederation hardliners had attempted to resist the changes, but they quickly found themselves isolated and irrelevant. The quantum network made it impossible to maintain the old restrictions. Any species that wanted to advance now had the means to do so. In the Earth Defense Force headquarters, Admiral Rodriguez met with representatives from formerly restricted worlds. The quantum fleet had transformed from a military force into a rapid response unit, helping worlds deal with natural disasters and environmental crises. "The hegemony of Turax 7 requests assistance," her aide reported. "Their planetary ring system is becoming unstable. They need help evacuating 3 million citizens before the fragments begin entering the atmosphere." "Deploy the Prometheus battle group," Rodriguez ordered. "Their temporal fields can slow the ring degradation long enough to complete the evacuation. And contact the Ardanian scientists. Their phase-shifting technology might offer a permanent solution." The quantum network hummed with activity as ships, resources, and knowledge flowed freely across the galaxy. Species that had been trapped in their home systems for millennia were now exploring the stars. Civilizations that had been forced to develop along restricted paths were now free to innovate. Dr. Wei stood in her lab, watching the quantum field displays that showed the constant flow of ships and information across the network. The deception that had allowed humanity to develop this technology in secret had been necessary, but the truth was far more satisfying. Watching the galaxy transform as barriers fell and cooperation replaced control. New contact. The network alert chimed. Previously unregistered civilization detected in the Sagittarius arm. They're requesting information about quantum drive technology. Wei smiled. Another world reaching for the stars. Another civilization about to join the greatest collaborative effort in galactic history. Send them the standard welcome package, she instructed. And notify Admiral Rodriguez. She'll want to coordinate their integration into the network. High Lord Krithax approached her as she finished sending the instructions. His crystalline form had changed over the past month, adopting patterns that reflected a new way of thinking. You knew, didn't you? He asked. You knew that once the technology was shared, it would evolve in ways even humans hadn't imagined. That was the point, Wei replied. The Confederation's mistake was thinking that controlling technology meant controlling progress. What we've created instead is an environment where every species can contribute, where innovation comes from collaboration rather than competition. The quantum network pulsed with new discoveries, new connections, new possibilities. Humanity had done more than break the Confederation's monopoly on space travel. They had unleashed the creative potential of thousands of civilizations. As she looked out at the transformed galaxy, Wei couldn't help but feel proud. Humanity's greatest achievement hadn't been developing quantum technology. It had been knowing exactly when and how to share it with the galaxy. The age of restriction was over. The age of exploration, cooperation, and unlimited possibility had begun.